What is up, you beautiful sons of guns? I hope you've been enjoying Edge of Eternities. I know I have. I've been opening up insane heat, as I'm sure most of you have seen when I opened up the credit card booster box, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna try and cram as many of these cards into a commander deck and see how it goes. So, what can I tell you? Um, well, I haven't won a game with the deck. I can say that. But I do think that the deck is kind of real good. It's real fun. We're not far off from just making the deck kind of insane, but not a copy and paste of what everybody else has done. Or maybe. I don't know. I've been looking at EDH rack, and there's a lot of cards in it that I have that other decks don't necessarily have, or isn't necessarily as popular. So let me give you a little bit of a reminder. What did we end up doing? So we cracked open a credit card booster box. I went through, I looked at, I think I had four rares, and I decided, all right, what well, not rares, but legendaries. And I decided, what am I going to use as my commander? So I decided to go with the Lobster Boy, little Ragost. And Ragost has been fun. And a lot of people are really kind of underestimating what he does. I do think, kind of like what I said, there's a little bit more that I need to get him across the line and just make him just an insane threat all the time. But let's go through some of the cards that I added into the deck because I told you I was going to let you know. So, like I said, haven't won a game with him, have had a ton of fun playing him though. And we have Ragost himself just manning the whole deck. Um, so, as a reminder, what does he do? Basically, artifacts you control are food and have the food ability in addition to their other types. So, you pay two, sacrifice the artifact, you gain three life, right? You can pay one, tap, sacrifice a food, so potentially an artifact also. Ragos deals 3 damage to each opponent, and at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, untap Ragos. Cool. Card suite. So when I started going through, I didn't want to take a lot of cards from outside of Edge of Eternities, so I crammed some that I had from my pre-release and just from opening other packs into this deck too. So I'm sure most of you won't notice that there's cards in here that I didn't open, but just in case, I wanted to put that out there and be upfront and honest about it. Um, so first up, I had All Fate Scroll. Right, we're going to talk about artifacts. All Fate Scroll, sweet card, right? Not sweet card, but it's good for the instance that we were using here, right? 3 taps for anything, and then I can sacrifice it and draw a crap ton of cards. Good card. Yeah, just gives you a little extra ramp, right? Now, the Dawnsire was a super sweet one, right? Um, Basically, I get it to 10, I let it do its job, right? Whenever I attack, deals 100 damage to somebody. Yeah, that's all we need. That's all I ever wanted. Had the ability to do that a couple times. I can also, if it was about to get destroyed, sacrifice it to Ragos, deal 3 damage to each opponent. Cool. In addition to that, Debris Field Crusher. This is one I just wanted to put in there that I thought would be alright to put in there because, yes, it's an artifact, but also 3 damage when it enters. Cool. Genji Glove is just an opportunity to give something double strike. I don't really think it fits with the theme of the deck. It would probably be one of the cards that I would cut if possible. And yeah, it gives us an additional attack phase too, but we're not really looking to attack in this deck. If we do, great, but it's not our main thing. Melded Moxite, another good card. Just essentially gave us some card draw, gave us something to feed to Ragost, and gave us something that we could create 2/2 robots to do damage or feed to Ragost too. And Nutrient Block, it's food. It does the Ragost thing by itself. Um, it, as far as food stuff, but we go ahead, sacrifice the Ragost, um, and it goes to the graveyard. We draw a card. Cool. Next up, I had Pinnacle Kill Ship. Just when it enters, deals 10 damage. That's really what it's there for, and then it becomes food. Pinnacle Star Cage. Interesting little way that if I wanted to, I could get additional ETB effects. Or I could just put other things under it and do stuff, or I could throw 8 mana at it and create a crap ton of 2/2 robots. Once again, Ragost, Num Num fodder. I also pulled Solar Array, and that just felt like an alright include, right? You pay 3, it taps for any color, and your artifact spells can get Sunburst basically indefinitely. Cool. Thaumaton Torpedo, another one. Just threw it in because it's an artifact and it has that option to destroy target non-land permanent if we get there, if we wanted to do that instead of doing 3 damage to each opponent. Kind of gives us just that flexibility that we need, right? Dominion Bracelet, this is one of those Edge of Eternities, like doesn't 100% dive into the deck theme, but it's good enough that we wanted to do it. And while talking about that, also Endstone, right? So whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. Yeah, we're going to do that a ton. And then at our end step, we have ways to basically stabilize our life total if we're under that half. Yeah, just great card. Then we had Warmaker Gunship. Cool. Just like the other spacecrafts. More just there to kind of deal damage, act as removal, and eventually get fed to Ragost. White Auracite. Another one. It is an artifact that we could feed the Ragost. It's also a little bit removal for us and some ramp. Just kind of does everything that we want. Yeah, it's a Final Fantasy card, but it's a good card. It's a good card. Wormwall, Sweeper, Surveil 2, Feed the Ragost, the rest. Great. Next up, we had a little bit of a burn category here for Ingenious Artillerist. And this is just a card that I ended up stumbling on. And whenever one or more artifacts enters the battlefield under your control, deal that much damage to each opponent. And considering we just want to throw artifacts on the battlefield and then kill them, like we're dealing multiple damage. Like each artifact essentially counts for 4 damage flat with this card and Ragost. So that's a fun little whoopsie daisy, let's say, for it. Next up, we're diving into our creatures. So we had the All Fates Stalker. This is just a way to exile things, really, for us. It's not doing Ragost things. It's just giving us another level of survival through removal. And Warp is a sweet mechanic. Bygone Colossus. Once again, you have your 9/9 that you can warp for 3, but it's also fodder for, yeah, you guessed it, Ragost. And Chrome Companion, I actually got the life gain a lot of times off of this card. I triggered that put target card from a graveyard to the bottom of owner's library a couple times on my actual graveyard. So it's a good way to just like kind of feed more. And if he ended up getting wiped out, you guessed it, Ragost went nom nom. Cosmo Grand Zenith. This is another one that I pulled out of a pack, and I actually pulled 2 of them. But casting my second spell each turn, when I'm casting artifacts, I'm usually casting lower cost things. So in Commander, easy go, and just creates an oppressive board state for us. If nothing else, I'm putting counters on creatures and just making them bigger. Maybe making Ragost harder to kill. Dauntless Scrapbot creates a lander artifact token, so feed that to Ragost, and also Scrapbot his, Ragost food, and exiling opponent graveyards. Yeah, not bad. Depth Stalker Titan, Ragost. Ragost food. When it enters, I can turn non-creature artifacts into 3/3s. Sacrifice them if I want. Ragost food. Each artifact you control has melee, trample, haste. Ragost food. Cool. Then I had Exosuit Savior. And this is just a way to kind of, once again, a little bit of protection, somewhat. Get additional triggers, maybe off of like a warp. Play it for the warp cost, get something out of it, bounce it back to my hand, play it for the warp cost again. Cool. Just more of a filler card than necessarily anything else. Kevron Harrier, it is food. It creates food. Food. Mishra Juggernaut. I was just looking for something to fill my final slot when I was looking through my cards. Found this. I went, hey, Unearth seems real sick. Okay, I'm going to do that because Ragost food. Or played Pangolin in a deck that's all artifacts. It's going to get huge. And if it doesn't get huge, we can punish it by Ragost. Patrolling Peacemaker. Yeah. Commits a crime, proliferate. So make things bigger. And worst case, Ragost food. Poo Poo UFO. Another addition that I think is just like kind of a bad addition that was more of a hasty, I want to get this done. Never really found myself being like, dang, I need to put more lands in, or wow, I have a bunch of towns, because there are no towns in this deck. So it definitely was Ragost food. Red Tiger Mechan, Ragost food. Sammy, Ship's Engineer, creates Ragost food. Sammy, Wildcat Cat Captain, cheap spells, because I'm making a ton of artifacts and I'm casting a ton of artifacts. Also, double strike. Starfield Shepherd, either ramp or potentially get Ragost food. Survey Mechan, Ragost food. Tanook, Steadfast Second, just create very cheap artifact spells that I could get out there. And haste, like just a solid red card. Virulent Slicer, so poison. I didn't really lean into that mechanic at all, but just poison to stick in line as close as I could with EOE cards. Also Ragost food. Weftstalker Ardent. I'm playing creatures and artifacts because Ragost likes to chew on them. Why not deal 1 damage to each opponent when I play those? Zookeeper Mechan. Ramp. Ragost food. Now jumping out of that, I had Weapons Manufacturer. So I was creating basically colorless artifact tokens named munitions that dealt 3 damage when it left the battlefield to any target. So Ragost food. Basically, I would like to deal 5 damage to somebody. Great card. Cut Propulsion. Removal. Emergency Eject. Removal with Ragost food, because Lander. Focus Fire. I'm going to have a ton of creatures or a couple spacecrafts, right? So just kind of easy removal. Radiant Strike. Removal with life gain. Cool. Now let's take a quick look at lands. I did, just because I wanted to make sure that there was, enough to do here, which is against everything that I've ever stood for. I put in 40 lands. Most of my decks have like 34-ish, and I feel like they function more than fine. But yeah, I put in the Windswept Bastion, because I could create copies of artifacts or enchantments that I had. Um, yeah, I mean, like, imagine two weapons manufacturers, right? Like, I'm dealing 7 damage every time I eat a munitions. Well, not 7 damage. I'm creating two munitions. Yeah, you get it. Um, but yeah, there's that opportunity. Um, I pulled the ancient tomb from the credit card booster, so yeah, throw that in. Um, some of your standard red whites, gemstone caverns. We pulled that, so that went straight in. Meteor crater, sure. I won from dropping hobbies on Whatnot, a power depot from a giveaway. It was actually a galaxy foil power depot. So with this being an artifact deck and it caring about artifacts, threw it in. I put in a Sacred Foundry and also had a Rust Veil Bridge too. Um, Trying to get those artifact lands in there that I had on hand. So that's good. Planeswalker threw in Tezzeret because if we're casting artifacts, we should gain as much as possible off of artifacts. Um, Tezzeret was really fun because I ended up using a 0 a couple times. Actually, on the Chrome Companion, I used the 0 a few times and got the Chrome Companion kind of big and beefy. And then there were other instances where I used his -3 that would allow me to search for an artifact with mana value 1 or less to, let's scroll down, get a Soul Ring. And I also used it to get this Basilisk collar down here. But let's talk about the ramp real quick. So Arcane Signet and Soul Ring, I said I was going to have those by default in addition to Command Tower, because those are just commander staples, right? So those were guaranteed in. Solemn Simulacrum just felt like a simple, easy auto include that I'm not putting like a $50 card in to be like, oh, look, I did something cool. Treasure Nabber seemed like a fun one because my opponents tap their mana artifacts and I get them. And then I just sacrifice them to Ragost because Ragost food. Basilisk Collar was a really good one. I almost won a game. I think we fell short on time because I attached this to Ragost. So every time he dealt 3 damage to each opponent in a 3-person game that we had, I would gain 6 life. So yeah, that was insane. Liquid metal coating just in there to if I needed to change something into an artifact just for more food. Sure, let's do it. Steel Hellkite, it almost never gets to pop off, but did actually get that out a couple times and almost get it across the line. Next up, just some simple sorceries that I had in there. Whoops. Let's not get too crazy. Beyond the Quiet just seems like a beautiful card. Exile creature, all creatures and spacecrafts. Devastating Onslaught, just being able to make X copies of target artifact or creature. Seems great. More Ragos food, more things to happen. Yeah. Orbital Plunge creates Ragos food because I'm probably getting excess damage off of a 6 damage target creature killer. Planetary Annihilation, just kind of a fun way if the game's getting out of hand. All right, let's pull it back and let's get there. Ruinous Rampage. Yeah, I mean, exile all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Now, I know that seems a little counter intuitive to what we actually have going on, but not so much. Not so much because I'm blowing up so many of my artifacts. Chances are it's going to hurt my opponents way more than me. And worst case, I'll just deal another Ragost damage to my opponents. Scout for survivors, cool little way just to get a little recursion and then get +1/+1 counters cracked onto some creatures if need be. And finally, my last 3 cards that I actually put in that actually weren't EOE cards, just happened to be this way. Elsbeth. So if I'm creating tokens, I want to double those tokens so I have more Ragos food. Elsbeth, Stormslayer, perfect for that. Mirror Battlesphere. We love artifacts. We want more artifacts. It's going to give us all the mirror artifacts possible. And then, kind of an insane card for me is Togo. Um, because I was playing lands a lot and it was just giving me a ton of rocks that I could just keep sacrificing to Ragost and benefit from. So, what do I think about this deck? I think this deck is very fun. I think there are some things that I kind of probably accidentally fell in with the just general meta of building this deck, but um, by just cramming a bunch of the cards that I had pulled out of packs and that I had lying around and just throw those into the deck just seemed like a cool challenge and really fun. I recommend people, try and do it if you end up buying a box, or even if you buy a handful of packs, just pull a legendary from that handful of packs and start there and start building a deck. It's a cool challenge and keeps the game itself fresh and new and exciting, especially when card prices and pack prices are going through the roof. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, Avatar, even some of the EOE packs when they first came out were pretty expensive. Um, it's a good way to kind of level set and create your own fun out of it and not get so upset about being priced out. That's one of the things that I'm running into. I started a Magic channel, and yeah, here I am, kind of getting priced out of a lot of things. Um, I recommend it 100%. I think Togo is a great card for the deck. It really did awesome stuff when I played it. Basilisk Collar is a must play. Um, I think Tezzeret was actually kind of fun to play also within the deck. I think I had probably way too many lands. Going along with my theme, I would probably take 5 lands out. I had almost every single game still a chunk of lands in my hand by the time the game ended. And I wanted to start pulling heat. I didn't want to keep pulling lands. So probably go down to like 35 lands. I think I would probably upgrade the removal for sure. These are good, but I was trying to keep it within reason and close, and using the cards that I had. Weapons manufacturing, great card. Weft Stalker, great card. I think both of these Sammys could be really good. Tanook was really good. Um, what else do we have that really was like a monster for me? Ingenious Artillerist, uh, great card. I like the white Auracite in here. Just does something well. I think the End Stone is kind of becoming a just fun little include in most decks, just to hopefully give you a little extra life. Dawn Sire seems just like a house of a card also. So I wouldn't look past that. Dominion Bracelet is okay, little hard to turn on. But yeah, no, that's my thoughts on the deck. Looking at what we had here, so just under $300, but keep in mind there's $100 ancient tomb in there, and there's a $50 Tezzeret. So that's $150 right there. And then what else do we have? Cosmogrand is another 10, you know. So yeah, about half of the price is spread out between two cards, which is bonkers. But no, for sure. Definitely try this. Definitely give it a go. Give it a go and let me know. How did it work out for you? Maybe give it a go and comment down below and let me know. So one other last piece of house cleaning before I sign off. I just want to let you know that I'm probably going to end up changing the name of the channel to actually JNics Does Everything. I think JNics does magic and stuff. Kind of alludes to specifically a magic channel, which has been a little bit daunting now and again when, things with magic just aren't necessarily always the most exciting. You will have seen as of a couple days ago from when this came out, I put up a Peak recording that me and some of my friends did playing Peak for the first time. Hopefully have maybe one or two more recordings of that stuff put out there, and let me know how you like it. So comment down below what you think about the name change, what you think about the deck that I threw together. If you aren't subscribed, feel free to go ahead and subscribe. It's free. I'm not going to ask you for money or anything. At least right now, we are far off of monetization, so that's not happening anytime soon. And yeah. Until next time, I'll catch you around. Love to hear what you think. Give it a try. I'll talk to you later. Be kind. Let's get the W. Peace, y'all.